Hey, this video is about me writing a book as a 16-year-old and how you can too, if you're in high school, if you're in college, if you're in whatever, yay! So first I'm going to talk about coming up with the idea and stuff like that. Then I'm going to talk about probably the most important thing, then some things to keep in mind while writing the book, and bonus tip on how to write a proper book. So straight into it, first piece of advice is come up with something that you need to tell. It's not usually from you want to write a book to you have a story. It's you have a story to you have to write a book. So for me, I often come up with stories when I'm listening to music that fits the song. And then I had this one group of songs that just made this giant story, and I remember being I shouldn't write this. I shouldn't write this. This is going to take years of my life, hours and hours and hours. But it was on my mind, it was on my mind, it was on my mind. And I just couldn't get it out of it. And then eventually, Taylor convinced me to start writing the book. And now I'm 93 pages in, and I've already gotten rid of 12 pages because they're garbage. But come up with a story, and then come up with how you're going to do it. So my story follows Allison, someone who just died and finds herself in a hell-like equivalent fictional afterlife place. She then has to come to grips with the new situation she's in, all while dealing with past trauma. She has to do this in order to survive. As soon as you have the idea, write. Just write. It doesn't matter if you have Google Docs, Word, some fancy writing thing, just pen and paper, anything. Don't stop yourself by saying oh, it would be better if I did this later, because if you never start, then there will never be a later where you actually do write it, if that makes sense. So now once you have the idea and you start to write it, next thing is some things to keep in mind while writing. So you want to kind of keep in mind if you're going to be traditional publishing or self-publishing. Self-publishing means you get more freedom over the book. You don't really need to get it approved or anything like that. It's just you write it and then you post it onto Amazon or Kindle. It won't actually be in bookstores. If you buy a book, you get to keep all the profits. It's great. You have to spend all the money yourself. Versus traditional publishing, where you find a publisher, so it costs less, but you don't get to keep as much of the margin. I think you normally keep 10 to 15%, so if you buy a $25 book, you get $2.5, which is not too much, but it's in bookstores, and you're gonna get a company that will pay for a lot of the editing, for the marketing, for the cover, for everything like that, So it there's no real option, but if you should keep it in mind. It'll affect how you write, and if you're just writing to write it, or if you're just writing because an agent will needs to see it like this. Keep in mind what's usually in the genre that you're writing in. For example, young adult fantasy is about 100,000 words, so no agent is gonna accept 150,000 word. If your debut novel, they're just not gonna accept that because they don't know that you're good enough, which makes sense. Another thing to keep in mind while writing the book is editing. Speaking from personal experience, do it in drafts. Do not edit as you go. The people who do that deserve all the respect. You have all of my respect. For me, if I don't edit in drafts, I will not write past 2 chapters. Speaking from experience, because when I was starting writing this book, I'm I'll just edit as I go. And I spent a month and a half on 2 chapters, and it's maybe I should just write. So I'm not allowed to go back and edit those chapters, which I wish I was, because they're so bad. I just know that if I spend my time writing, and if you spend your time writing, you're going to get better, especially at the beginning, than if you go back and edit it. So if I write 5 chapters from now, I'll be a lot better at writing than right now. So if I spend my time editing now, then I'm going to save time because I'm going to also want to edit it later in 5 chapters. Yeah, so people who do that and actually write a book, my complete respect, honestly. You guys are great. And everyone who does it in drafts, you guys are also great. We're just not... It just doesn't work for us. Another tip I have for writing in high school is utilizing YouTube. Honestly, there are some great writing channels out there. You can watch some tips by Brandon Sanderson, Stephen King. Personally, my favorites are the YouTube channels writer Brandon McNulty and Abby Emmons. I have been watching them for a while now. They're great. They give great videos. I can honestly tell the difference if I'm like writing and then I'll watch a YouTube video and I'll be like, oh my god, my writing's so much better now. It might just be a placebo. I like to think it's not. So they're great either way. So yeah, that's my video. Watch a couple more videos by me because this is my YouTube channel. Yeah. See ya.